You're listening to a podcast of The Mojo with Steph Renee. Weekdays 10 a.m. till noon on 900 AM WURD.com.
There's also a really exciting feature coming up in New York that we're telling people about today.
Yeah, actually on the line with us, joining us on Reelblack Radio on the Mojo is Ron Magliozzi, who is the assistant curator for the Museum of Modern Art. And there is a series starting this coming Wednesday at the museum for Bert Williams. It's a retrospective of his early silent films. And
nice.
On the line to join us to talk about it is Ron. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us.
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Did I say that right? Your last name?
You said it correct, yeah.
Okay. All right. It's I'm always respectful of pronouncing people's last names.
Yes.
But a couple years ago, this was a huge finding. The restoration of the Lime Kiln Club. I'll let you talk about it.
This was a lost film. This was a film people didn't even know it existed. It was filmed 102 years ago now, in 1913, with a very large black cast. It was the earliest surviving black cast feature film that was produced starring Bert Williams, and he brought about 75 performers from the Black Theater, which was very mature at that point. I mean, there was really a lot of very talented people who had no access to film until this point. Spent a couple of months shooting the film, and when it was finished, the producer decided that they weren't going to release it. It was suppressed, and it was put in a can and forgotten until the museum opened the can a few years ago and discovered what it was.
Wow, yeah. No, I mean, for those, just to connect people, Bert Williams was like the top vaudevillian of his era. It's sort of like if somebody made a movie with Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy today and just stuck it in a vault somewhere and never bothered to edit it or release it, right?
Yeah. I mean, Bert Williams was the most famous black man in America, along with Booker T. Washington, the activist, and Jack Johnson, the boxer. They were the three most famous black men, and he's been called the patron saint of African American performers. He was the first black multimedia personality. I mean, everything that he did, he defines what a superstar is, even today. He was a huge star on Broadway and on tour. He played before the King of England. He was a recording star. He made over 80 records. He was a composer. He founded a black music publishing company. He was featured on, merchandising. He lent his name to social causes in his community, and he was the first major black star to appear on a film.
I was going to say, that sounds like Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So this was a huge find, and immediately went into the National Registry of Historic Films. Why do you think it was suppressed or not released at the time?
For the performers, the theater performers in this period, getting access to audiences was a civil rights thing. I mean, all the theaters were owned by the white theater owners, and it was, unless they were performing minstrel characters, they were not getting access to the stage, and certainly not to the screen. And so when the film was finished, I think they looked at it, and it was just after Birth of a Nation, which came out in 1915, which so damaged race relations. We know that the people that booked the films looked at it and said, I can't put this film before a white audience. It's not going to play. So they couldn't get any bookings for it, and that's why it was put away.
Wow. And this was Biograph, which is also where D.W. Griffith worked.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, in fact, that's how the film came into the collection. The curator here went to Biograph in 1938 when it was closed, looking for some Griffith films, and they said, well, we have a lot of films here. Whatever you don't take, we're going to throw away. So she just took everything that was in the vault. It was 900 films in 2,000 cans.
Wow.
And that's why the Bert Williams film was, it was labeled unidentified, so it sat around for a long time here before we realized what was in the can.
That's incredible. Well, that goes to, we speak very often here on the station about the importance of legacy and the importance of tracking these seminal works that people should have access to, and analyzing how it has informed how our culture has developed, how society has developed. And so a buried treasure like this, especially given the fact that it was only going to be tossed aside if MoMA hadn't stepped stepped in and reclaimed these cans of film at a time when it was crucially important to do so, just reinforces, I think, to everyone in our listening audience how fragile these moments are and how fortuitous it is for us to be able to jump in and decide that we're going to take a role in preserving these things.
That's right. That's it. That's what I've been doing here at the museum, and it's very gratifying.
Wonderful.
And it's particularly great. We're really so pleased that we've taken the film on tour for a year. We're taking it around places that audiences have been so receptive. And, contemporary audiences, they get what the performers were trying to do back in 1913, and it's very gratifying to see that happen.
Yeah. So it's gonna play for a whole week, right? Beginning when, and how can people get up to New York and see this rare stuff?
Yeah, it's playing at 7 p.m. During the weekend, at 4 and 5 on the weekends, from the 13th through the 19th.
Wow.
MOMA. You can go online and get tickets or come to the museum.
Okay, and it's been restored. Is there like a Blu-ray release coming as well, or?
Yeah, we're going to be doing it by the end of 2016. I'm hoping we're going to have the DVD release of with a lot of other early black films that predate it, so that people can see how this Williams film fits in the context of what the black performers were trying to achieve in that period.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, we talked to another gentleman who's doing something with Kino. Is this the same project, or is this a separate?
No, this is different. Yeah, Kino's doing like 1916 on, and we're doing pre-1916, like 1916. Wow. So you get our set and their set together, and you have everything.
That's one. No, I mean that's really important for us to understand. Mike's organization screened the Forbidden 11 cartoons last year, and it was really great to be able to see that in context with an audience, to be able to understand that our love for animated films and our love for comic books and all these things over the years, how there have been subjects and there's been imagery that we can analyze now in the context of the modern era and be able to tie back into that long history of entertainment, quote unquote. And so the idea that the comparative film retrospectives and restorations that's going on pre-1915 and post-1915 is really adding to a rich opportunity for dialogue between generations of the people who are going to come see these screenings.
Absolutely. It's what you said. We're in the period of really recovering this legacy and putting it back in front of audiences.
Yeah, so in addition to the Lime Kiln Club, there's 2 other films showing as part of this program?
Yeah, we're showing at the same time that he made Lime Kiln. He made a film called The Natural Born Gambler, which is Natural Born Gambler. It's got some of the same cast members and some of the same sets. Actually, it's interesting to see. That one did get released back in 4 years after they made it. And it's not as progressive as the Lime Kiln film was. In fact, the black film critics at the time said, it just goes to prove that the white film producers still don't know how to put the brother on the screen accurately. And they use exactly those words. So
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, like when we're talking about financing, who's financing these movies, the availability of the technology. Were these films being made for white audiences, or were they being made for general audiences or black audiences? Who was Lime Kiln speaking to at the time?
The biograph films were definitely made to make money. They had to play before white audiences. There weren't highly developed. There weren't a lot of black cinemas and theaters across the country that they could put a film into, to make their money back. So they were really making the films for a largely white audience. But they were, and these performers and the black performers in particular were aware that when they were performing on stage and before the camera, that they needed to give performances that were authentic, that would feel authentic to the black audience members, and that would sell to the white audience members. So it's kind of this whole thing with minstrelsy and blackface. They're trying to accommodate the stereotype traditions of the period, but also bring some authenticity that a black audience member would pick up on, and I think you can see that in the Bert Williams films. There's a lot of very famous black stage actors in the Williams film, just as extras in the background. A white audience in the period never would have known who they were, but a black audience would have picked up on them right away.
Well, I mean, and that's still a battle and a struggle. Like, who is the audience for? Who does it speak to? As we talk about being commercial versus being honest or relatable to a culture or subculture.
Yeah, and there were black film producers making films exactly the same time as the Bert Williams film was being made by this white company. Unfortunately, all those other films, black films, are lost. This happens to be these few Bert Williams films are the ones that survive.
Wow.
Right. How have you, in reviewing this material and preparing the promotions that will go into the screenings of these films, how do you look at it as a curator, with a century in between its production and it finally reaching an audience and available for analysis at this point?
Well, we spent almost 10 years researching who was in the film, what the film was, because there was no script, there's no titles, nothing on it at all to tell us what it was. To figure out that it was based on a couple of black stage productions that had been playing around, who the cast members were, and we did that by going through the New York Age, the black newspapers, and looking for faces, basically saying, "Oh, there's this." We figured they were famous stage performers, that we would find them in the black press, and we did, and that's how we identified who was on. And then the question was, as I said before, how would contemporary audiences, particularly contemporary black audiences, take a film that was this old? Mm-hmm. And we were some concern about that. So very early on, we brought in Jacqueline Stewart, the black film scholar from University of Chicago, and Theaster Gates, and a lot of other black scholars to look at the footage with us to gauge their reaction to it, which was very positive. Really was inspiration. They helped us shape the way that we presented it to the public. And when I take it on tour, I have this 25-minute slideshow that I do with documentation to show, gives the background of the theater that was going on at the time and how the film fits into that.
That's excellent. Well, this whole idea of context is something that we are discussing more and more in the contemporary age, because history now isn't 100 years ago. History is 20 years ago, and making sure that at the speed of the digital age, we're still keeping our younger folks connected to the rapid evolution of history and culture and their part in all of that. So it's really wonderful to now have even more of a broader historical perspective in the way that you have researched these films and brought them back to light.
Thank you. I mean, that's what we felt all along, and that's what's been so gratifying about it. And eventually, we really want to give this footage, because what we're showing here at the museum is 60 minutes of the 80 minutes worth of footage that actually survives, because what survives is all the takes of every scene, all the outtakes. Oh. So you get to see the black cast and the white crew on the set of the film making the movie, as well as the film that they're making, and that's really remarkable. There are like 100 still images of the black cast and the white crew interacting on the set, so you can see their relationship, which is amazing. And there's 8 minutes of moving image footage, and all that really is what makes it so remarkable, because this kind of footage doesn't exist for any film, white or black. So this is what makes it really remarkable that we have this much material in a film with a black cast.
Well, Ron, I'll be up on Thursday to check it out. I'm super duper excited, and I really appreciate you taking the time this morning to let our listeners know about the event. And once again, when and where can they see this Lime Kiln Club?
At the Museum of Modern Art in New York, 11 West 53rd Street, from Wednesday the 13th through Tuesday the 19th.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Well, Ron Magliozzi.
You got it.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate all the work that you've done and helping to connect us with our past.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Bye. Thank you, Stephanie. Bye.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our next break of today's program. We're bringing culture to you live and in color from our historical past and certainly our contemporary present. And that is where Mike and I will dwell with the remainder of today's program when we continue with Real Black Radio, part of the Mojo, here on 900 AM WURD. Stay tuned.